All right, welcome back. And today we're going to be taking a look and a review at this Thermaltake micro case S100 TG. Yes, this is a MATX case. It's by Thermaltake, and I just got it in from a company that I like to leave nameless because they like to give me a hard time. But anyways, and as you can see, like always, anytime I get a package from them, damaged. I mean, I don't get it. You know, maybe it could happen in shipping, maybe it couldn't, but every time I order anything from them, that's what I get. But anyways, we're gonna move forward on that. So let's go ahead, let's get this thing out of the box. Let's talk about measurements, dimensions. We'll put a computer in it. We'll see how it looks, things I like, things I didn't like, and we'll take it from there. So let's go ahead, let's get this out of the box in 3, 2, 1. All right, so our Thermaltake S100 TG is out of the box, and let's take a look at it. So first off, let's take a look at the front panel. And as you can see, our front panel is plain, has Thermaltake on the bottom. Nothing too fancy about it, which is good because I'm just going for that clean look for the living space that's going to be put in. The top, you have your microphone, headphones, two USBs, USB 3.0, our reset, power, hard drive LED, and our power button, which feels kind of clicky. Very like it. All right, so our tempered glass over here. Let's take a look at that real quick, and then we'll move more into the interior of the case. I like this because, number one, you open it up right through over here. There's a little crevice, comes right in, and it slides. Very smooth, hinges right over here, comes up and down, so you can take out your tempered glass. Definitely enjoy that. A lot easier than having screws, and yeah, pretty cool. Inside comes with a 120 millimeter Thermaltake fan. It's only a 3-pin, but it'll work. We're actually going to take this out, put some other fans in here. So this will probably go into my scrap pile. I mean, I'm sure it's a decent fan, but I'm a PWM guy. This 3-pin, not so much. All right. Power supply basement has a little opening right over here. I'm not a huge fan of it for the simple fact that a lot of power supplies have their stickers, and depending on the orientation of the manufacturer, it could be upside down. So typically I rip those stickers out. We'll see how it looks when I put in my Corsair power supply when we do the build. Right up here, plenty of airflow to get some air fluid moving over here. You have these 3 cutouts, 1, 2, 3. So you can put your USBs, your front panel, audio connectors, and all the little pinouts for your power LEDs, power switch, and all that. You also have this right over here, which I do like this feature because you can run your PCI Express power to your video card right over here. Looks nice and clean, or you can even go this way, but we'll probably go that way over here. Okay. The front provisions for 2 120s, 2 140s, or you could do 240 AIO or 280 AIO, just matter of preference. And you know, we'll see if it clears, depends on the video card clearance over here. I'm not going with the AIO, I'm doing air cooling, so won't be able to say whether the limitations on that, but still pretty decent. Seems like there's plenty of room over here. On the top, you can also do a 240 or 280 AIO, and that should work fine. Mesh filter on the top to keep all that dust from coming in over here. Plenty of room back over here, which I like this because a lot of times if you need to change out the CPU cooler, you have enough room in the back to kind of put in the mount or the screws or anything like that. So definitely very handy over here. So let's move to the back. The back of our case, we have our little caddies over here, which they come out pretty easy. So we can put our 2 SSDs over here, which I like. On the bottom, we can put our 3.5 inch, which I'm going to be putting my 4 terabyte. And apparently you can put one up here. I believe there's provisions for it, or 2.5 over here. Plenty of room for a decent sized power supply. I'm not sure the exact if it'll take a full size length one, but if so, you can definitely take this out if you don't need this, but my power supply would definitely fit. There's also a mesh. I don't know if that comes in right over there, but there is a mesh under here. Yeah, there's a mesh right under here, so your power supply ain't gonna suck up too much dust, kind of help limit the dust over here. Cable management, as you can see, we have these little mounts over here for the wire ties. So for example, the CPU power, could run it through over here, wire tie it nice and clean, and feed it through over here. So that I do like over here. Same thing with our 24 pin. If we run it through here, we could wire tie it right over here, and plenty of little mounts to kind of help clean it up. As far as the thickness, not sure if we're gonna run into any thickness or clearance as far as the panel is concerned. The panel's over here, and we'll take a look at that. It looks like it has a good amount of extra little indent on the out to kind of help with any thick wires that might protrude. Comes with 2 slots over here, so you could put for your PCI cards over here. So you have 2 additional slots. So if you ever decide not to use your video card or switch back and forth, which I don't know why. Honestly, what I would probably do is 1, 2, 3, 4. So pop out the 2 for the video card and swap these out for those 2, primarily because these tend to be a little restrictive and every little bit helps. So we'll probably switch with these. And I bought another company's one, so we'll see which one actually looks better and it's going to be less restrictive. As far as airflow in the front, as you can see, it's pretty, we can see right through it. And there's probably maybe, let's get a measuring tape. Let's see, we got roughly about an inch and 1/8 of space over here. So it looks like it's gonna get some pretty decent airflow from the side over here. And it doesn't look restrictive at all whatsoever. So you have this one and this on the side. So overall, 2 nice. On the bottom, your clearance. Roughly an inch. So you have an inch of clearance at the bottom, so I ain't gonna suffocate the power supply too much over here. And I think that's about it. Now the front, how does the front come off? Most fronts come off pretty tricky. Let's see if we can do this one hand. If we could do this one hand, that'd be awesome. Oh yeah, we could definitely do that one hand. Not too bad. And this is actually metal. I don't know if it's aluminum or whatever it is, but it's metal, so that's pretty cool. All right, that comes off pretty easy. Did that one hand, and as you can see, this is what we have over here. So what I do like about it, and this is actually something to consider, is it looks like we have plenty of room to kind of hide our fans in here. So that's pretty awesome, because if we could put the fan in here, then we could put the AIO right over there. And I don't think we're running too much issues with with cooling and restrictions, because we have these big open ports over here. So definitely something to consider. So we'll play around with it and we'll see what works better with our configuration. Ideally, I want to have the fans inside over here, so I'll have more area to get more airflow in there, but we'll play with it and we'll see what we can come up with. So this is the front of our case. Comes off real easy, no wires, nothing dangling. Let's do a build and we'll talk about this case, what we like, what we don't like, how the build came together, and give our final thoughts. My thoughts. This case is pretty awesome, and for the price of $69, it's actually not too bad. I mean, everything has gone up, so if you look at it in comparison to what prices would have been prior to everything going on, this is actually a really good case, and let's talk about why. Number one, the aesthetic. I like it. It's very clean. When I put it in my living room, it blends very well. I like the color. I like the fact that this is metal up front and not plastic. The front panel comes off very easily, so it's very easy to work on. I do enjoy the window, how it slides open, so if you got to do some quick testing or just some getting in there real quick, it's very easy, and especially if you're going to dust anything out over here. Everything fits in here pretty nice. I mean, you got plenty of space up here on the top, so if you got to get to that CPU power, it's easy to get to. Also, the other pin connector for the fans and everything, very accessible, so definitely like that. Got plenty of room down here for the GPU, which is something that is important. I've seen a lot of MATX cases in which the GPU just kind of sits almost resting on the bottom over here. I've seen that, and this, you got a good amount of airflow over here. So if you wanted to add like a capture card or something else down here, you do have the room for it. So there's no constriction of airflow that you're gonna get over here, and you could just feel all the air coming through this case. I use these Thermaltake fans, which actually turned out to be pretty decent for this case, and I actually do like them a lot. And I mean, the amount of airflow, I mean, you could just feel the air just going all the way through. Is definitely utilizing these vents over here to take in a good amount of fresh air. And compared to my NZXT, there is a lot more room and there is less restrictions. And you can see it on both sides. Now keep in mind, there is no mesh over here, so you're probably going to get a little more dust in this case compared to some of the high fancier cases that have that. But if you maintain your case, that should not be an issue. Building in this case, well, it's both good and bad. As far as this over here, there's plenty of room to work, install the motherboard, the fans. You got great clearance for the for the GPU and the fans. If you're gonna put an AIO, the fans are probably gonna have to sit in right here, and the radiator will be right over here. But just kind of keep that in mind that you put anything over here, you're gonna be restricting the amount of airflow. If I was to put an AIO, I'd probably definitely put it up here on the top. But then also keep in mind too, that if you get an AIO and a set of fans that are too thick, you might run into some clearance issue with the memory. I don't foresee it with these Corsair LLs, so I think you should be more than enough fine, because I don't think the radiator is that thick. So I think the flexibility for AIOs is definitely accommodated by this case. The open power supply basement, it actually don't look too bad, especially with this. I had talked about maybe taking the sticker off, but I kind of like it. And if I had one of those Asus ones that had the little LCD panel over here, that would definitely be flipping awesome. Or maybe even just put my own LCD panel. Just, I don't know, something to consider. Now, cable management. Cable management is what kind of hurts this case a little bit. And let's open this up in the back over here, and let's talk about some of the cable management issues that I ran into while building this. All right, so my cable management job is not the best. I was kind of rushing to get this together, but I will talk about some of the things I did not like. So first off, I don't like the way the 2.5-inch drive, the SSDs, are mounted. I typically prefer them mounting more up and down like this, and it just makes it so much easier to route the wires and cables that you can just come down and come across. These are mounted this way, and I don't like this coming out across here. The wire kind of sticks out a little bit, and the SATA power connector right over here is just it's not tight, but it didn't feel comfortable, to say the least. Down here, as you can see, my rat nest of wires, I know this is kind of piss poor over here. There's not much you can do with it. The only thing I can suggest is that if you was to get rid of the drive cage, in my case I have my 4 terabyte hard drive over here, you'd probably be able to wire tie and tuck these in a lot better, and it will look cleaner. And then also I have my controller for my Thermaltake fans over here, so you're limited. And with that, if you're going to do a custom cables for this, where are you going to tuck all that excess? I mean, you're very limited. I'm sure if I spent a lot more time, I could come up with something and really clean this up, but it's very tight down over here. And I think, in my opinion, if they would have mounted the hard drives over here, it would have been a little cleaner to get them running across this way. Not to mention, if the hard drive cage would have came forward a little more, and I don't think there's provisions for it because I didn't see it, you probably would have had better room to tuck it in. So I wish they would have given you that option, because I'm not using a 360 per se, but I did have some room with the fan over here where I could have moved it forward, and I probably could have tucked in these cables a lot better. So that's something definitely to consider. Overall, this is a great case. Very happy with it. This is going to be my new rig for my 5900X. This is going to be my new centerpiece in my living room, and I definitely recommend this case. Thermaltake, I haven't been their biggest fan as far as their cases, but I saw this. I like the aesthetic. It works great. Very happy with it, so definitely a thumbs up. So comment down below, let me know what you think of this case, my review, the build, your experiences with it, suggestions, and definitely love to respond to that. Hit the like button if you like the video, subscribe if you're not, and like always, we'll see what we come up with next.